My name is Alara. My sister Lola once told her entire social circle that I spend my days in a cramped cubicle doing government paperwork things. That same week, I finalized an $800 million maritime resource allocation contract to support fleet operations across the Pacific for the next 5 years. I am 31 years old, and I have been the invisible machinery behind global power moves for over a decade. My family sees a boring clerk, but the world sees a strategic architect. They think I handle files. I handle the logistics of empires. Have you ever been the boring one in your family, while secretly carrying the weight of the world? Drop a comment, and let me know where you are listening from, and what time it is for you right now. I would love to know who is part of our community. The Port of Singapore is a monument to precision, a place where a single minute of delay can cost millions. It is my natural habitat, but today I am here as a passenger, an unwanted guest in the theater of my sister's vanity. Lola stands at the center of the terminal, her designer silk dress shimmering under the artificial lights like an oil slick. She is busy narrating her life to a lens, her photographer circling her like a satellite. Beside her stands Tyler, checking his watch with the performative impatience of a man who thinks his time is more valuable than the air he breathes. There she is, Lola announces, her voice carrying that specific pitch she uses for her followers. The girl who is too busy saving the world with paperwork to buy a decent suitcase, she mumbles. She gestures to my single, battered duffel bag. My mother, Dawn, offers a tight smile, her eyes already darting back to Lola to ensure her golden girl is perfectly framed. Then comes the decree. Lola reaches into her handbag and pulls out a small, plastic card. She holds it between two fingers, offering it to me like a scrap of food to a stray. Here is your key, Alara. Now, do not be upset. We took the suites on the upper deck with the ocean views, obviously. We need the light for the content, but yours is down on deck 3, right next to the engine room. It is an interior room, so no windows, but you are so sensible. You will barely be in there anyway, right? I take the card. My fingers do not shake, and I do not look at the floor. I look at the number, 3042. My mind, trained by over a decade of high-stakes logistics, automatically pulls up the internal schematics of the Aethelgard. I know exactly where that room is. It shares a structural bulkhead with the ship's primary ventilation and engine housing. It is a room where the vibration of $800 million worth of machinery will rattle your skull every night. Lola did not just choose a cheap room. She performed a logistical audit of my dignity and decided to minimize it. She wanted me buried in the dark, vibrating with the ship's sweat, while she lounged in the silence of the top deck. She wants me to feel small, to feel like an afterthought, because that is the only way she feels big. I look at my mother. She is nodding, repeating Lola's line about me being sensible. They have normalized this cruelty for 20 years, treating my career as a joke because it does not come with a filter or a hashtag. They see a paperwork clerk. They do not see the woman who just finalized an $800 million infrastructure project that will literally keep the lights on for 10 million people. They do not realize that while Lola builds a curated world of smoke and mirrors, I build the foundations that allow people like her to exist in safety. It is fine, I say. I keep my voice clinical, devoid of the hurt they are fishing for. Do not worry about me. Lola's smile falters for a split second. She wanted a crack in the facade. She wanted me to beg for an upgrade or complain about the noise. But in my world, emotion is just bad data. You do not get angry at a bottleneck. You clear it. You do not cry when a shipment is hijacked. You call the people who can get it back. As we move toward the elevators, Lola is already back to her live stream, bragging about the exclusive access she has arranged for the real family members. She thinks she is the queen of this voyage. She has no idea that the silent machinery she is currently mocking me for is the only thing keeping her afloat. And she has no idea that I am the one who knows exactly how that machinery works. The vibration of the engine room is a physical weight. It is a rhythmic, low-frequency assault that most people would find unbearable, but I have spent over a decade learning to find the frequency of chaos and tune it out. I have lived in tents on the edge of flooded provinces and shared sleeping quarters with heavy-duty generators in disaster zones. Lola thinks she is burying me in the basement of her social hierarchy. She does not realize that, in my world, the most critical work happens in the dark, far beneath the surface, where the light does not reach. I have been the invisible pillar holding up their house of cards for as long as I can remember. 2 years ago, when Tyler's luxury car firm was on the brink of a forced liquidation during a sudden market shift, I was the one who spent my nights off restructuring his debt, using the same analytical precision I use for Pacific Fleet operations. I did not do it for a thank you or a seat at the head of the table. I did it because I viewed family as a system I was trained to maintain. I was the silent investor in their version of a perfect life, providing the structural integrity they lacked. Then there was Lola. My mother, Dawn, called me last winter, frantic because Lola had miscalculated her seasonal expenses. Translation: she had maxed out 3 credit cards on a month-long trip to the Amalfi Coast to maintain the illusion of her blessed life. I wired $12,000 to her account within an hour. I told her to consider it a closed file. I was not buying her affection. I was buying the silence I needed to keep managing global resources without the distraction of family drama. People look at my silence and see a victim. They see a woman who has forgotten how to scream. But my silence is a professional discipline, a survival mechanism learned in high-stakes environments where a single emotional outburst can sink a contract or cost a life. It is the invisible chain of the survivor. I have spent my entire adult life navigating rooms where I was not invited, was not wanted, and was not respected. In the logistics of survival, you do not fight the storm while you are inside it. You calculate the trajectory, you wait for the weather window. You ensure that when you finally move, you have enough mass to flatten whatever is standing in your way. My family treats my career like a series of filing cabinets and staples because it is easier than acknowledging I operate on a scale they cannot comprehend. They see me as the spare daughter, the one who can be tucked away near the grease and the mechanical noise of Deck 3. My compassion had been a luxury they had overdrafted for years, and as I sat on that narrow, stiff bed, the account finally hit zero. The walls hummed with the mechanical pulse of the ship, a diagnostic report of a machine I understood better than anyone on board. To Lola, this room was a weapon of humiliation. To me, it was a balance sheet that had finally balanced. For 20 years, I had played small, so they could feel big. I had dimmed my own light to protect their fragile egos. But as the floor beneath me vibrated with the thrum of $800 million worth of machinery, I realized I was done being the ghost in their machine. Lola thinks she is winning because she has the ocean view. She does not realize that I am the one who knows exactly how to navigate the waters. Lola is standing on the promenade deck, her phone mounted on a gimbal that looks more like a weapon than a tool. She is currently live to her 75,000 followers, narrating the struggles of managing a family voyage. I catch her eye as I walk toward the cafe, and I see the exact moment she decides to use me for engagement. It is a predatory shift, a data-driven calculation to increase her social capital by spending mine. And here is my sister, Elara, Lola says to the lens, her voice dripping with performative pity. She is the one I told you about. The one who thinks a spreadsheet is a personality trait. We tried to get her into a suite, but she insisted on being sensible. She is currently down on Deck 3, guys, right next to the engine room. She says she likes the vibration. I guess when your life is that boring, you need the mechanical noise to feel alive. The comments scroll past like a ticker tape of cruelty. Poor thing. Is she okay? Give her a makeover, Lola. I watch Lola's face through the reflection in a nearby window. She is glowing. She isn't just happy. She is satiated. This is the illusion of power, of an empty wallet. I look at her, and I do not see a sister. I see a failing business model. Lola's entire identity is a rented asset. Her status, her clothes, her influence, they are all high-interest loans that she can only repay with the attention of strangers. She has spent her life focusing on having, rather than being. She has the designer dress. She has the rich husband. But she has never developed the internal infrastructure of character. Her vanity is a hedge against her own lack of substance. She needs me to be the boring clerk, because if I am not the shadow, she cannot be the light. She needs to humiliate me, because her self-worth is a zero-sum game. If I have dignity, she feels she has less. If I am tucked away in the basement of this ship, she feels she has reached the penthouse. It is a fragile, sociological drive, the need to perform superiority to mask a complete lack of internal value. Her wallet may be full of Tyler's money, but her soul is a balance sheet in the red. Tyler stands beside her, nodding like a silent partner in this public audit of my life. He thinks he is a chief executive officer, but he is just another enabler in Lola's theater of the absurd. They both look at me with the same condescension they would show a faulty piece of equipment. To them, my silence is a confirmation of their narrative. They think I am taking the hit because I have no choice. I do not flinch. I do not defend my career or my choices. In logistics, you do not interrupt a competitor while they are making a mistake. You let them overextend. You let them burn through their resources. Lola is currently burning through the last of my patience, thinking she is earning likes when she is actually accumulating a debt she can never repay. She thinks this live stream is her greatest performance. She has no idea she is filming her own forensic audit. Do not mind her, guys, Lola laughs, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. She is just in her own world of government paperwork. We will check in on her later, maybe bring her some leftover caviar from the VIP lounge. It is the least we can do for the budget traveler of the family. I walk past them, my duffel bag over my shoulder. The noise of their laughter is loud, but it is hollow. It is the sound of a house with no foundation. Lola thinks she is the star. She does not realize that I am the one who understands exactly how to shut down the stage. I find a quiet corner on the aft deck, where the salt spray masks the smell of Lola's expensive perfume and the wind drowns out the chatter of vacationers who think they are important. I pull out my phone and dial a number that isn't in any public directory. It is a direct line to the bridge of the Aethelgard. Captain Mark speaking, a voice answers. It is the steady, gravelly tone of a man who has spent more time navigating storms than social circles. Mark, it is Alara, I say. There is a short pause, then a genuine warmth enters his voice. Alara, the architect of shadows. I was wondering if I would see your name on my manifest this week. It has been 3 years since that supply chain blockade. If you hadn't pulled off that 3-country logistics miracle in 48 hours, my fleet would have been a group of very expensive paperweights. I am on board, I say. But there is a system error. I am currently assigned to an interior room on deck 3. Interior? That is impossible. My records showed a VIP booking for a Miss Alara. Let me pull up the manifest. I hear the clicking of a keyboard over the line. A debt to an architect of shadows is never forgotten, and Mark knows my reach better than anyone. He knows that I do not just move paperwork, I move the world. My job exists in the invisible machinery that makes power possible. Alara, Mark's voice is suddenly cold, professional. We have a problem. Your name is on a transfer of rights form for the owner's suite on deck 12. It says you voluntarily released the suite and downgraded to an interior cabin. The suite was sold 3 weeks ago to a private party for $60,000. I never signed a transfer, I say. I am looking at a scanned copy of the document right now. The signature is yours. It was authorized by a Lola Henderson, acting as your proxy. I feel a wave of clarity wash over me. It isn't a breakdown, it is a balance sheet. Lola didn't just book me into the basement next to the engine room out of spite. She didn't just want to humiliate me, she had a logistical requirement. She needed $60,000 to cover her gambling debts from that Amalfi Coast trip, the one I thought I had settled when I was the silent structural support for this family. She didn't just use me as a prop for her social media. She used my identity to fund her hollow life. She forged my name to sell my dignity for cash. Mark, I say, my voice as level as a horizon line. The signature is a forgery. Lola sold a suite she didn't own, using a name she doesn't respect. I understand, Mark replies. In my world, that is not just a family disagreement, that is fraud on a maritime vessel. How do you want to handle this? I do not want an apology, I say. I want a power flip. I want the protocol for the owner's suite reinstated. And I want the transition to be visible. Consider it done. I have been waiting for a chance to return the favor from the blockade. I will handle the logistics of the reversal personally. Meet me at the main elevators on the promenade deck in 15 minutes. I hang up, The vibration from the engine room beneath my feet feels different now. It is no longer an assault. It is a diagnostic report of a machine I understand better than anyone on board. Lola thinks she is an influencer. She thinks she is the one who controls the narrative because she has the camera. But I am a logistics architect. I do not perform for the camera. I design the reality the camera films. The story is no longer about a sister who is mean. It is about a criminal who is sloppy. This was an accounting error, and I was about to collect the interest. I wasn't just a daughter or a sister anymore. I was a strategic resource, and I was about to exert my reach. My power isn't in my rank. It is in my reach. I head toward the elevators. The transition from being a ghost in their machine to the architect of their collapse has begun. The elevator lobby is a sea of linen and self-importance. Lola is at the center of it, her gimbal-mounted phone sweeping the room as she tells her followers about the hardships of managing a family voyage. Tyler is checking his luxury watch, and Dawn is fussing over Lola's hair, their movements synchronized in a dance of enabling. They are a united front of vanity, and I am the dark spot in their perfect frame. Captain Mark appears. He is in full dress uniform, his medals catching the afternoon light. He doesn't move like a man on a schedule, he moves like a man with a destination. He walks directly past the concierge, past the wealthy families, and past Tyler's outstretched hand. He stops 3 feet from me and offers a crisp, formal salute. "The architect," he says, his voice carrying through the quieted lobby. "I apologize for the logistical error. I have been informed of the signature discrepancy." Lola's gimbal wavers. Captain? What error?" "Alara is fine on deck 3, she's sensible. We checked the manifest." Mark doesn't even look at her. His eyes are fixed on mine. "Miss Alara, your personal protocol has been fully reinstated. The owner's suite on deck 12 is ready. Private butler, priority access, and our executive chef will be handling your dining preferences personally. Captain Rodriguez sends his regards. He said he has been waiting for a chance to return the favor from the $800 million logistics miracle you pulled off last year." The air in the corridor changes. It turns heavy, like the pressure before a storm. Lola's gimbal drops, her camera now filming her own feet as she stands frozen, her mouth open. Tyler looks up from his phone, his expression shifting from boredom to genuine shock. Dawn is staring at me like she's seeing a stranger for the first time. This is the trap of normalizing cruelty. For 20 years, they had built a reality where I was an acceptable target for their insecurities. They had normalized their abuse for so long that they genuinely believed it was a law of physics that Alara would always be the quiet one, the boring one, the one tucked away next to the engine room. They are not shocked by what they did. They are shocked that the person they chose to diminish is the most important person on this ship. They are realizing, too late, that their basement sister has a global reach that dwarfs their curated social circles. "Captain Mark," Lola stammers, her voice cracking. "There's some mistake. Alara does government paperwork. She doesn't have $60,000 for a suite." "I handled the booking." "You handled a forgery, Lola," I say. My voice is clinical, the sound of a contract being enforced. "You sold a suite you didn't own, using a name you don't respect. That isn't a family disagreement. That is fraud on a maritime vessel." Mark signals to 2 security officers standing nearby. "If you'll follow me, Miss Alara, I'll escort you there now. Your family can be directed to the ship's security office to discuss the signature discrepancy." I adjust my single duffel bag on my shoulder. I look at Lola. She is staring at her phone, which is still live. Thousands of her followers just witnessed the queen of the voyage being outranked by the sister she tried to bury in the grease of deck 3. Her career is self-destructing in real time, burned by the very lens she used to mock me. I step toward the private lift. I pause, looking back at my sister, my mother, and the man who thought he was a chief executive officer. I played small for 20 years so you could feel big. I am done being the ghost in your machine. I offer a cold, precise smile. Your envy is my best view. The lift doors close on their stunned faces. The vibration of the engine room is gone, replaced by the silent, high-altitude hum of real power. I am no longer a daughter or a sister in their math. I am the architect of shadows. And I have finally stepped into the light. The wraparound balcony of the owner's suite offers a 270-degree view of the Pacific horizon. Up here, the air is clean, lacking the metallic tang of the engine room or the suffocating scent of Lola's synthetic rose perfume. There is no vibration, just the absolute, expensive silence of a vessel in perfect equilibrium. I stand at the railing, the cold glass of a champagne flute in my hand, and realize that for the first time in 21 years, my internal balance sheet finally shows a zero. My phone, resting on the mahogany side table, is a frantic object of study. The notifications are coming in like a digital assault. A message from Lola. Elara, stop this. I am in the security office. They are talking about federal maritime fraud. If you do not withdraw the claim, they are going to arrest me. Please, I am your sister. I read it with the same detachment I would use to review a faulty shipping manifest. Lola isn't asking for forgiveness. She is asking for a bailout. She is still trying to trade on a currency that became worthless the moment she forged my name. Then comes Dawn's message. How could you humiliate your sister in front of everyone? This trip was supposed to be a gift for our anniversary. You have ruined everything. Is this what success looks like to you? Being cruel to your own blood? I look at the screen and see the same pattern of emotional blackmail they have used for decades. To them, my boundary is an assault. My success is an insult. My refusal to be their victim is an act of war. I do not reply. I do not explain. Explanation is a luxury I can no longer afford to give them. I select Lola's contact and hit block. Then Dawn. Then Tyler. In the logistics of life, sometimes the only way to clear a bottleneck is to eliminate the source of the friction. I am closing the file on the family I was born into, and focusing on the one I have built, the network of people who actually see me. I know you are out there. You, who have been the invisible pillar in your own family. You, who pay the bills in silence while they mock your boring career. You, who have spent years playing small so that the people you love can feel big. This is my letter to you, the ones who always feel like they are standing on the edge. Stop waiting for them to notice. They never will, because acknowledging your worth would mean acknowledging their own shortcomings. Your value is not a variable to be audited by people who cannot even count their own blessings. You are the structural support, the strategic reach, and the hidden power. You do not need their permission to be luminous. You do not need to be invited to a party that was designed to exclude you. I used to think that revenge was about fire and noise. Now, looking out at the endless blue, I know better. The best revenge is the horizon wide, clear, and completely yours. If you have finally stopped playing small for people who will never see your worth, type "I am visible" in the comments. Like and share this if you are building a life on your own terms.